What is up, guys? We are over on World Flipper today to take a look at a few teams that I put together and that I want to talk about for people that are going to be going into Whitetail EX, Whitetail Godly. Don't have the Shishiro lead, they don't have Celtie, but they might have Phiria or Miguel. It may not have either of those, but I do want to show some Furia options where if you have Furia and do not have the Celtie or the Shishiro builds, you do not have those units, you cannot go in and use those teams that I've been talking about the last 2 days. Wanted to make this video to cover just some different options. So right here on the screen, what you're seeing, this is kind of a little fun Furia rotate pierce comp. It's surprisingly smooth, but it does involve a few 5-star units. This is something where if you had Furia and you pulled Miguel and you're like, what do I do? This is a team that could work for you. It's something that can keep you alive. It can deal enough damage to the point where it's not going to be completely useless when going into these events. If you don't have the Shiwei, if you're missing the Viren but you have all the other units, you can just kind of flip them out for people that are doing the same thing. Once again, if you do not have Shiwei, you can replace this unit with a Albert, you can replace it with Aurora. You just want some way to maintain levitate in these fights, because that is going to have this pierce, float, levitate, penetration thing going on. So Aurora and Albert, these are replacement choices. They are not as great as having the Shiwei there, but if you are missing them, you want to do this, you can run this little character here. And for maintaining that pierce on the Maltet, you guys obviously can do Rolf or Adil, can maintain the time, increase the time that buffs are active. You can go in and equip these units here, kind of like this. So you're just lowering down the amount of 5 stars needed in the team, but it is a functioning team with Furia as the lead. And there is a Furia team that I want to show you guys that's not even running the Miguel and the Kohane. And once again, Kohane is such a unique unit that she's this turbo battery, buffs the skill gauge of everybody, and it just gets everything going so crazy. So if you do not have Kohane and you're like, well, what kind of Furia team can I build? And this is for people like if you still have the Celtie and the Furia, but you're missing the Shishiro or you're missing the Shiwei, there's a team here that you can take into Whitetail EX that will function kind of just as nicely. I want to show you guys a run with that team as well. This team, on the other hand, we go ahead, we swap back in the units that we were using here. It's actually kept up pretty okay damage, 17 million. I think it was an average run, but it's not completely useless. It works. So if you guys want a Furia team, you don't have Celtie and Shishiro, this team can go on in just fine. Go on over to the other team. This team is going to be a more, again, skill-based damage team, but we're going to use Furia as the lead instead of Celtie. It's an older kind of comp that still will probably work just as well in the Whitetail versus what you are seeing here. So here we have the Furia-led skill damage-based team still that, as you can see, this team running on the left-hand side is the team you're seeing right here on the center of your screen. So the Orisa is only level 58. She's not maxed out. There's no soul there. And the Unison on Furia is still level 50. There's some completion missing here on this team, but I want to show you that it can still, even in this advanced dungeon, it can still survive and do just fine. So if you are missing those newer units, and I know there are 3 5-stars on this team, but I wanted to focus on what you could do if you are missing Shishiro, you have Celtie and just Furia, and you're missing all the new units you couldn't pull, Kohane, Miguel, don't have Shiwei, you can still throw together something like this, and you'll be fine in the Whitetail. This team is a more mediocre version of like a Celtie skill damage comp. You are maintaining your HP. You have the Furia and the Orisa healing, and the Celtie, when she goes off, she's going to be cracking down and doing skill damage with the attack modifier that Furia gives, because when Furia is in that lead slot, if you haven't used her in that slot yet, you're going to be getting, when unit's HP is above 60%, you're going to get 115% attack to the unit. So when Celtie stays above that threshold, she activates her skill and Rams is stacking the skill damage. You're going to be cracking down some pretty okay numbers. You're like that one, I think it just went by, was about 2.3 million, and it will be a team you can take in and be able to clear out the Whitetail with your co-op partners. So You aren't going to be doing massive, insane damage with this, but this is still a way to drop some form of damage down and not be just a complete support kind of comp that is just supporting the other two people with built comp. So just something to think about going into this. I think we did 10 million on that run, but my units here, like, they went through, they survived. They did a 2-minute 16 run with the Viren team running, and the Arisa has like no investment in her. So this is just a team that you can put together if you're missing those units and you thought you couldn't make a team, still run it like this. And if we hop over and take a look now at another variation, we get into a Leon team that I rather quite enjoy. This is a Leon kind of power flip-esque skill damage hybrid build that is very smooth and very fun, especially for being Leon. Every time I bring up that I want to run Leon, everybody runs away and they look at me like I'm nuts, and I probably am, but that's fine because we're using Leon here and it's actually extremely smooth. So I do realize that this team has a lot of 5-star units on it and it's very built up, but if you have these units for some reason, you just have the Leon and you're missing the Sushi and the Celtie, which would be very surprising, and missing Furia. If you're missing everything and you have this exact set of units, this team can pack a punch and it can use a healer to kind of help it keep it alive. And this is a very just mixture hybrid based team. And I was in the Discord earlier today, was talking with people in there, and Echo said, hey, throw Rolf under Miguel. You now have a more just centered power flip version of this hybrid that I was using before. So this is a second way you can run Leon. You're now solely focusing on power flip. You're not focusing on the Shisuzu trying to fill up Leon to do more skills repeatedly over and over. And it just is trying to build up skill damage while also power flipping. Whereas this team here with Rolf and the Beretta, and you have the Miguel giving all of his power flip bonuses. I mean, this guy is giving a ridiculous amount of power flip bonuses to the team, and you are going to be getting a increase to your leader attack and power flip damage as you stay healthy. And there's some very funny synergy between Leon and Miguel, which is hilarious to me. If you take a look at the ability 2 of Miguel, every 10 times damage is taken by a leader, 3% to thunder resistance for the leader to a maximum of 30%. And then when it's a wind unit, you're going to get 30% to power flip damage. But we hop on over, take a look at what Leon's doing. Leon is going to be taking damage in place of whoever is in slot 3. The way this team is laid out here, we have Leon in the first row, we have Miguel in the third row. We are now forcing Leon to take damage, which is then triggering his own ability to up his thunder resistance. We are now letting Miguel trigger, which is going to be giving him even more thunder resistance because of his ability 2. And since Leon is taking the hits for Miguel in slot 3, he's going to be keeping that HP above that 80% threshold pretty much the whole run. So it's just this weird little fun synergy here between Leon and Miguel, but it works. And it is definitely a team you could take into Whitetail. I mean, if you have the Shishiro, the combo team, the rotate team, you can build skill damage. Just do that. Don't do this. If this is some really weird last resort, you totally can build this team and it will probably work just fine. I am going to try it in my video when I montage all these teams together and show you guys what they look like when using them. So the last little bit that I do want to talk about is if you are missing everything I've talked about over the last 3 days now, and you still want to go into this Whitetail EX, and you're looking at your box and you literally just have like 3 and 4 stars, you could run a team kind of like this. Now, ignore the souls and stuff like that, and some of these units don't even have EXP in it, but I was just thinking about what you could run if you really were missing like everything and you barely had any wind units. You could do kind of this Murakumo, Kate, Breakdown Punisher. You've got healing coming from Arisa, you've got Float Levitate coming from Aurore, got Jester and Shisuzu going. I mean, this is not ideal. This is not what you want to build towards to take into Whitetail EX, but it is kind of something that you could if you were missing a lot more units than most other people. So when going in with a support team like this, you're not going to be blowing up and doing a crazy amount of damage. You are just trying to help out with the boss and help your teammates out and survive. But this is an option without any other 5 stars, 4 stars, missing a lot of units, and you end up with kind of a build like this. You could try to take it in and see how that works. And once again, it's not ideal, but this is kind of just the fun little non-Sushiro Celtie teams that I came up with. It was a very smooth little Furia build that would be interesting to take in. I am going to take in all these teams on Whitetail Godly runs when that drops, so you'll see how all of this actually turns out. I'm excited to do that montage for you guys. I'll have the runs going in the center and then the teams listed on the side so you can see what's doing what and how it performed and which one kind of was lackluster, which one was better, all that fun stuff. So that is going to be exciting. I do appreciate you guys stopping by and watching my videos. This is probably going to be the last of like the Win Team series. I might do videos focusing on Leon for fun later down the road, but this is going to be it just for the Whitetail Prep series. And then we'll have the kind of collage of all these teams once that runs and talk about just all the different things you can do with the weapons coming. I'm very excited for the fever weapon that we are getting. Thunder Fever is going to be really fun once we get that stuff. So if you are new here and you stumbled across this as your first Rate Up Gaming video, smack the sub button. We got lots of World Flipper content to come. I appreciate you being here. And as always, guys, hit that thumbs up. It will bring my rates up. Peace, guys.